Hello. Good evening. Happy Football Sunday to you. Good to have you with us. We got a lot to do today. Obviously, the Lions didn't play today. They will play tomorrow, Monday Night Football. Lions, Packers from Green Bay. We'll preview that game, kind of get you primed and ready to go. We'll kind of point some things out because there are going to be some changes to this Lions team as they make their way to the frozen tundra because really their best receiver is going to be out. So we'll talk about that and what that means for this offense going forward. And then, defensively, I think there are some things happening on that side of the ball that the players are really liking. And quite frankly, it has to do with Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator. So we'll talk about that too. But full slate of NFL games today and some wild games in terms of the performance of some of these young quarterbacks. A lot of these rookies, Zach Wilson, obviously Trevor Lawrence. And we'll kind of break down what this means for them because, let's not sugarcoat it here. They had terrible days. So we'll get to all that and more coming up on SportsWrap here. Stay with us.
Name. When President Biden revealed details of a new U.S. security partnership with Australia, it seemed at one point that he may have forgotten the Australian Prime Minister's name.
I didn't pay much attention to it. I mean,
Scott Morrison laughed it off.
I've been known to let the odd name slip from my memory. That's pretty normal in our line of work.
He said he sometimes calls the president mate in private conversations.
We've got a great working relationship, and the proof of that is in the pudding.
Morrison visits the US this week for the first time since President Biden took office. Simon Owen, Fox News.
I'm Mary Corsetti, and this is Fox News.
.275, another crash near the airport. Everything's shut down northbound. Past Huron to Sibley Road. We're looking at the jam cam at Sibley, and there is nothing on 275 going northbound. Traffic is at a standstill approaching the closure. Get off at Huron, or you're going to get stuck. Elsewhere, heavy delays due to construction north on 75, Holbrook to Davison Freeway. I'm Mike Priest, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
Clouds build in later tonight as we drop back to the low to mid-60s. We'll see the early clouds Monday. Late day could work in some scattered storms. We'll get up to around 80. Better chances for the rain 4-hour Monday night. Late could see heavy rain Tuesday. From the Weather Channel, I'm Jeff Eno on News Talk 760 WJR.
From the Fisher Building, you're hearing the great voice of the Great Lakes. News Talk 760 WJR. It's time for Sports Wrap on 760 WJR.
All right, this is the wrap on 760 WJR.
To a car phone we go. Dave, thanks for hanging on. You're on 760.
Gentlemen, and Steve and Dan, you got the chemistry. It's cooking.
Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win.
Are you calling us from your office?
I'm doing SportsCenter tonight with
Are you really?
Dan Patrick.
Yes. I'm very impressed. By the way, give Dan our best. He's a good man. And
I will. Hey, Dan, Chuck Swirsky says hi. This is the best sports wrap has ever been, in my opinion.
Now, here's your host, Chris Renwick.
Oh, happy Football Sunday to you. Full slate of games today. And look, I think that there are some interesting developments among the young quarterbacks in this league, the rookies, the much ballyhooed signal callers, who, as much is given when you are taken at a high draft pick, when you're taken at the top of the draft, when you are a top many teams' draft boards, much is expected. And today, those expectations just weren't there. And really, quite frankly, haven't been there. Now, I think that it wasn't really a surprise. And I'll just take a look at the Bears here. You got the Bears hosting the Bengals today. And I don't think it was much of a shock that Matt Nagy was going to start Andy Dalton. Former team, got rid of him, didn't want him anymore, upgraded with Joe Burrow, I guess. And so I think there was a little bit of, I think that organization was hoping that certainly Andy Dalton was going to be a factor in that game. Andy Dalton gets hurt, finishes the day 9 for 11 for 56 yards through 1 touchdown. Justin Fields, I always kind of imagined, just looking at the Bears' schedule, that Justin Fields kind of was going to be the guy in week 3 and beyond. Andy Dalton gets banged up. Justin Fields comes in. 6 for 13, 60 yards, and a pick. A very lackluster performance in what turned out to be a Chicago win. Their first on the season. They're 1-1. But I think it's interesting when you start looking at where a lot of these guys went, where a lot of these guys ended up with some of these teams. I think it's something that we're going to continue to watch, because a lot of these guys just didn't have very good days today. And look, I understand you're saying it's just a game, and I get it. But you look at what somebody like Justin Herbert has been able to put together over his short career. I mean, like today, 18 for 21, $169, touchdown and a pick, and they trail they trail Dallas by 3. 12-ish to go in the third quarter. Like, Justin Herbert was a guy out of Oregon that I think a lot of people liked, especially in his junior year, less so his final season at Oregon. But the Chargers hopped on top of him, and he's been a very good player. And you know where a lot of that credit goes? Anthony Lynn, of course, now the OC here in Detroit after he was canned out in LA. So I just think it's interesting that some of these guys are struggling so mightily early on. And Jason, I know you got some questions for me. We'll get to that coming up. We're going to preview the Lions game today. Oh, and how about this? Let's just piggybacking on our show yesterday. Obviously, Saturdays will be mainly focused on college football. Well, we'll do a lot of NFL stuff on Sundays. But Michigan State making their first appearance in the AP poll. Michigan, they'll jump to number 19. They're up 6 spots from number 25. And Michigan State checks in at number 20. Again, just look into that day before Halloween, October 30th, Spartan Stadium. No time has been set. But there is a real possibility that these two teams could be undefeated going in. A real possibility. And we kind of covered this yesterday. Which would make for a very, very exciting football Saturday. So we'll just something we'll watch. Of course, we'll continue to talk about it here on SportsWrap. But when you look at some of these quarterbacks, and again, we're going to cover it. It's just interesting how mightily they're struggling early on. I want to update you on a couple of scores going on around the league. The Cardinals scratching and clawing their way throughout this one, midway through the third quarter. Arizona leading Minnesota 31-30. They were down. I guess they were down throughout that game, but they've made it pretty competitive. They scored 17 points in the second quarter. So Arizona making a little bit of noise. Chase Edmonds with 42 yards rushing. Kyler Murray 19 for 22, 282. He's got 3 touchdowns on the day. Elsewhere, Buccaneers on top of the Falcons 28-16. That's midway through the third. Cowboys with a 3-point lead over the Chargers, 14-11. Again, 12 minutes to go in the third there. I'll get you a couple of finals. Bears over the Bengals 20-17. The Browns over the Texans, who, again, I continue to think the Texans are going to be terrible this year. And Chicago and Cleveland showed you a little something last week against KC. and I understand they didn't hold on to win, but they came out firing on all cylinders. And I think that Cleveland is a real team now. And how about Matthew Stafford traveling to Indy to take on the Colts with his new look Rams? I believe I saw a tweet, and I want to make sure I get this right. This is the first back-to-back wins for Matthew Stafford since 2017. It's pretty good. And speaking of Matthew Stafford, Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback. Matthew Stafford is a very good quarterback. He's got all the arm angles. He's got a cannon. He's got it between the ears. Can we just pump the brakes on this fawning over Matthew Stafford on national television? I mean, we understand Matt Stafford is a very good quarterback. And when you're on a team like the Rams, a ready-made product, yeah, it ain't that difficult to go out there, lead a 90-yard drive, and finish with 6. It just ain't that hard. But this like infatuation with Matthew Stafford all of a sudden is wild to me. And we'll touch on this more as we come up, because again, we saw it in week 1, and now nothing has changed in week 2. By the way, did you know he and Clayton Kershaw are besties? It's crazy. All right, we got to take a break. Coming back on the other side, Jason Fissler's got some NFL questions. We'll dive into that. We'll preview the Lions game coming up tomorrow night. Lions-Packers from Lambeau. Monday Night Football. Don't miss it. And a lot of else to do today here on Sports Wrap, so don't go anywhere. Chris Renwick right here on WJR. We'll be back with you in a second.
Don't miss Chaz Palminteri in the original one-man show, A Bronx Tale, live at the Andiamo Showroom September 25th.
He was Sonny's bodyguard, Jimmy 10-2. They called him 10-2 because when he walked, his feet were always like the clock, like 10-2. And he would walk like this.
You saw him as Sonny in the hit movie. Then he brought his iconic character and screenplay to life on Broadway. Now you can see Chaz Palminteri in A Bronx Tale live at the Andiamo Showroom September 25th. Tickets are on sale at Ticketmaster.com. More info at AndiamoShowroom.com.
Change is big, like Consumers Energy ending the use of coal to generate electricity. Change can also be small, like when you use ceiling fans to help keep cool. When we work together for the planet's health, the changes we make today will create a brighter future, a future powered by solar gardens in your community instead of coal plants, where green charging stations replace gas pumps and can fuel your travel from Grand Rapids to Mackinac City, where being rewarded for smart energy choices is as easy as making small adjustments to save energy at your home or business, or simply letting your smart thermostat handle the work for you. There are many ways we can come together and be a force for change for Michigan. Want to help protect Michigan's environment for generations to come? Join us on our clean energy journey. Learn more at consumersenergy.com/change. That's consumersenergy.com/change. You can count on Consumers Energy.
If you dream of a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementia, the Alzheimer's Association Detroit Walk to End Alzheimer's is helping lead the way. Join us October 30th at the Detroit Zoo. When you take part in the walk, you're helping to raise funds and awareness for a breakthrough in the fight against Alzheimer's and all other dementia. Whether this is your first walk or you've done it every year, right now we need you to add your flower to the fight. Because like flowers, we aren't stopping. Join us at alz.org/walk.
I'm Danny Schaefer, lifestyle content creator. My little brother had these piercing blue eyes, like the ocean. He was just 33 when we lost him to an accidental opioid overdose.
My name is Darren Waller. I had it made, living my dream playing professional football. Then my life hit rock bottom. I had an accidental opioid overdose.
I felt this shame, this stigma. Everyone knew, but no one talked about it.
I felt completely isolated. My family didn't even know. I refused to stand by and watch without doing everything I can to change the stigma.
If you know someone taking opioids, have a safety plan and talk about it.
It can happen to anyone you know or love. It happened to me.
I'm sharing Scott's story because reversing the silence can help save lives.
Let's help put a stop to opioid overdoses being a leading cause of accidental death in America.
Be prepared. Learn how at reversedsilence.org.
How you doing? This is Steve Courtney inviting you to join me and Local 4's Jamie Edmonds for a little something we call the Sports Book. Monday nights from 7 to 8, presented by WinBet. You can download the WinBet app today on the Apple Store or Google Play. Win with WinBet.
Join us for a round of golf during Beaumont's Women's Healthcare Classic. Women are invited to golf the Dearborn Country Club course, while men and women can spend the afternoon at TPC, Michigan. All meals, cocktails, gifts, and awards are included in the event with proceeds benefiting women's health services at Beaumont Hospitals Dearborn, Taylor, Trenton, and Wayne. Get your foursome together and sign up today. Hosted by Karen Wilson Smith-Bauer and Doctors Harrison, Burkhill, Wang, Sanji, and Associates. Visit beaumont.org/WHCC for information, registration, and sponsorships.
Now back to more Sports Wrap. Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win. Here's Chris Renwick.
And also, I mean, look, after 2 games, Patriots 1-1. The Jets stink. They're 0-2. They blow out the Jets 25-6. Is Mac Jones the guy? Is he the guy? Is he the diamond in the rough there? 22 for 33, only 186 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. That's just more of like game management. But is he the guy? I don't know. It's just interesting. Because with Bill Belichick, it's, it's like, is Bill Belichick the coach that he has become without Tom Brady? Again, looks like Tom Brady can go pretty much anywhere he wants and wins. Just kidding, but kind of. I mean, that Tampa Bay team is stacked, but you get what I'm saying. He doesn't need Bill Belichick. It's obvious. But my point is can Bill Belichick do something similar with Mac Jones? And I'm not talking about a Super Bowl win. I'm just talking about, is Mac Jones going to be a competent quarterback enough to where he's going to lead the Patriots forward? Just a thought. Jason, I know you've got some questions. Let's get into these because when you look around the NFL, there are a lot of interesting storylines today.
As I was watching the games earlier, I thought to myself, poor Zach Wilson in New York. He basically is quarterbacking a team that has no offense at all. And I'm just like, man, I feel bad for this guy, and I'm looking at their roster and I'm going, who is this guy? Who is this? Because off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you who their number one running back or their number one receiver is. And
here's the thing: they are awful.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like if there is a corpse equivalent of a franchise in the NFL, it's probably the New York Football Giants. I mean, Braxton Berrios probably. He was their best receiver today, but Elijah Moore, probably the guy. I mean, Corey Davis is there, Western Michigan product, former Titan. I mean, Tevin Coleman should be their leading rush. He should be their number one back, but Michael
it's at least a name I recognize.
I mean, my goodness. Zach, I mean, look, I'll tell you what, Zach Wilson is a guy where I think, again, a lot of hype around his NFL prognosis early in his BYU career, but then kind of fizzled out right before the draft. And then, I mean, is this who he is? Maybe.
I would say no, just because they need to get some competent weapons around him. But I mean, and it's a rookie head coach in Robert Saleh. It is, I mean, everybody's a rookie around there, it seems like. But also the play of Trevor Lawrence today as the Jags lost again. 0-2. We touched on Urban Meyer last week and how Uncle Urban's throwing fits, and I'm wondering it probably had to be the case again today. But the question is, these rookie quarterbacks, they get thrown right into these situations that, my team is the Cowboys.
Dak Prescott in 2016 was thrown in there, but he had the best offensive line. He had Zeke Elliott. He had a good team around him. These guys, now Trevor Lawrence has a little bit more than Zach Wilson does. But, I mean, just the morale, and especially a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence comes from a winning college program. I'm sure he won in high school. And
he's won everywhere.
Yeah.
Last week was the first regular season loss of Trevor Lawrence's life. He's never lost a regular season game. I mean, look, you come from a winning pedigree. All you do is win. And today he didn't back it up very well. I mean, he went 14 for 33, 118 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions.
And he had a really good opening drive, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, he's looking pretty good, and then just not the rest of the day. And Zach Wilson had his 4th interception by midway through the 3rd quarter, and I think the defense just dropped back the rest of the game because he ended up throwing for like 218, something like that. But the morale for these guys, the morale coming in, you're making a good living. There's no question there, but, man, it's got to be tough and it reminds me of, do you remember when the Texans franchise started? And David Carr was the Fresno State quarterback coming in, and man, his career wasn't good because he was put in. I believe he's the most sacked quarterback of all time throughout his career. But what it can do to you.
So is the question, who's got a better NFL prognosis, Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence, or is it? Do these guys just need to sit? Do they need to sit back and watch the game on the sidelines and develop and then get them in now?
Right. Yeah. Should they sit and develop? Because I know in this league, they don't. It's what have you done for me now?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that there are a couple of places you can look here. I think you look at what Aaron Rodgers went through. Of course, he had Brett Favre to sit behind, which isn't a bad guy to look after and learn the game from. And then obviously Drew Bledsoe in New England. Bledsoe got hurt, and then Brady just put a chokehold on the job and never let go. But those are two guys that did sit on the sidelines, wait. Obviously, for Aaron Rodgers, he was there for a while, a couple of years, sitting behind Brett Favre. Now, on the flip, you've got somebody in Justin Herbert who really has been able to come in, step in, really from day one. If it wasn't for Tyrod Taylor, getting his lung punctured, he's probably still sitting on the sideline learning, but he is flourishing. I mean, he's a good, solid quarterback. So I think that I think at the end of the day, when you take a quarterback at number 1, number 2, number 3 in the top 5, those guys just by the selection are like, you got to start them. It's very hard. They're kind of doing it in Chicago with Justin Fields. It's very hard to take a guy high in the draft and then sit him. You know what I mean? And so I think that's one of the areas that the NFL has to try to navigate. And it may be, quite frankly, this evolution in the draft. Like, you remember there were a number of years where nobody would take a running back in the top 10. Nobody would take a running back in the top 15. Why? Because the life expectancy, playing expectancy of a running back is so small in this league. You're only valuable for a short amount of time until you get to like 28 and 30. You're useless at that point. And so, I think that there is a case to be made about these guys being able to sit. Does Trevor Lawrence necessarily need to sit from day one? Probably not. Come from a big-time college football program, won a natty. Probably not. But would it do them some good? Probably.
Yeah, because you're with quarterbacking the Jags, quarterbacking the Jets, you're learning on the fly. You're going to make your mistakes, and they're going to continue to both make plenty of mistakes. And then you got to think, are the Jets even going to win a game but it's the NFL, so you never know. They're going to run into.
And let me throw this caveat in there too. I mean, kind of look at what, at least in week 1, they didn't really do it today, but the situation out in San Francisco, where you've got a young guy. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo is somebody that I think, is a serviceable quarterback in this league. I don't think he's going to win you a Super Bowl, but you got somebody in Trey Lance where last week they kind of like split snaps at times, right? I mean, Trey Lance threw his first touchdown last week against Detroit. Like there's a little bit of and that's kind of a college mindset where you're playing multiple guys, kind of platooning your quarterbacks. But that may be something you see in the NFL where there are specific packages for guys where they could go out, get a taste of what game action's really like in the regular season in the NFL, and away you go. And
that's what they're doing with Justin Field in Chicago.
Yep.
And they did that a lot with Tyson Hill when Drew Brees was still in New Orleans. So yeah, I think that's a better way to go. And Fields can learn from a guy like Andy Dalton, who's a veteran. So
yep. No, absolutely. I'll tell you what, we'll continue with some of these questions on the other side. We got to take a break. Again, we're going to continue breaking down the NFL slate today. Raiders over the Steelers. How about that? The Raiders are 2-0, 26-17 over Pittsburgh. And the 49ers also 2-0. They knock off the Eagles 17-11. We'll continue to sprinkle them in, update you on some of the games still ongoing. We'll preview Lions game coming up as well. Don't go anywhere. Chris Renwick here on SportsWrap on WJR.
Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Sir Mix and Match a Lot coming to you live from Hungry Howie's, where I'm talking famous flavor and mixing and matching any 2 items on the Hungry Howie's Mix and Match menu for $5.99 each. I'm talking a medium 1-topping pizza, Howie bread, a Pepsi 4-pack, a regular oven baked sub, a regular salad, a Howie cookie, and wings. Any 2 for $5.99 each.
Okay, can I just order my food, please?
Oh, sure.
Great. I'll have.
Sorry.
Hungry Howie's. This is a cautionary tale, so you might want to pay attention. While most of us know that oral health care is important to save teeth and enhance smiles, many are unaware of the most recent medical studies and research linking gum disease to the major systemic diseases of our time. Of the ever-increasing list of catastrophic diseases, most can now be linked to gum disease and other oral and dental issues. Consider the dramatic incidence of heart disease, colon cancer, lung cancer, infertility, hypertension, diabetes, and most recently, the daunting and staggering statistics correlating gum disease with dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Joseph Nemeth has remained on the cutting edge of treating patients with gum problems. Be proactive. Be informed. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call 248-357-3100 or go online to drnemeth.com. That's drnemeth.com.
Well, I'll tell you, obviously, we've got a couple of very exciting Monday Night Football matchups. Obviously, tomorrow, Lions, Packers, Lambeau. But then week 3, don't forget about Philly, Dallas. A little divisional matchup on Monday Night Football. And believe me, as big of a game as that is, FanDuel making it bigger because FanDuel is continuing to give new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. That means you can end your NFL week the proper way by pocketing $150 on just a $5 bet. And look, you want to take the money line, the spread, you bet on a number of touchdowns scored. It's there for you. And this is why I bet on FanDuel Sportsbook, because everything is there. All of the options are at your fingertips. It's easy to use. And quite frankly, when you win a little cash, they'll pay in as little as 24 hours. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Sign up using promo code Renwick, that's RENWICK, this week, and you could win $150 on just that $5 bet. Remember, use promo code Renwick so they know I sent you exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app.
21 and older and present in Michigan. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Maximum bonus $150. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help.
Hi, I'm Lauren. Why was it so difficult to move? Maybe my left side had just fallen asleep. I exercise, I eat healthy.
Hi, I'm Adam. At first, I was in denial. My wife, Lauren, was only 30. But I'm familiar with signs of stroke, and no, symptoms aren't always easy to recognize. I quickly realized that something was very wrong. Lauren's speech was slurred, and her face was drooping. She was having a stroke, and I had to react immediately.
I'm so thankful Adam called 911 and I quickly received the medical attention that I needed. Now I don't take anything for granted, especially the time I get to spend with my family. Going through this experience has given me a new appreciation for life.
Looking back, I'm so grateful I didn't hesitate to call 911. A quick reaction can make all the difference. Learn signs of stroke and call 911 immediately if something seems off with someone you love. Visit strokeawareness.com.
Sponsored by Genentech and NAEMT.
Now back to more Sports Wrap. Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win. Here's Chris Renwick.
I'll tell you, these games that are going on right now are good games. I mean, these are nail biters. You got Vikings in Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Vikes on top of the Cardinals. They just took the lead 33-31, start of the fourth quarter. The Falcons making their way into the third. They trail the Buccaneers by 3. It's 28-25 down in Tampa Bay. All knotted up nearing the end of the third quarter in LA. Chargers, Cowboys tied up at 14. And then you got the Seahawks and the Titans in Seattle. The Hawks on the Titans 24-16. That way is about 5 minutes left in the third there. These are good games ongoing. All right, Jason, I know you got some other stuff. What do you got?
Well, I actually wanted to touch on that tweet you sent me about about Matthew Stafford and his first time he's had back-to-back wins since 2017, which I wouldn't have guessed. Unbelievable.
Well, the Lions haven't been very good for the number for a number of years, and I got to be honest. Again, I like Matthew Stafford. I think he's a good guy, and I'm happy for him that he's in a place where he's going to be able to win some ball games. I mean, the Rams are going to be a very good team this year. Whether or not they're going to be able to make some postseason noise remains to be seen, which I think they will. But with that being said, Matthew Stafford winning back-to-back games for the first time since 2017 is pretty crazy. It goes to show you kind of where the Lions have been. I mean, in this bubble in Detroit, it can be hard to see that. But when you expand and you're like, oh, actually, hold on a second here. The Lions haven't been very good. And so for Matthew Stafford to be in a place where he's got weapons, he's got a line, he's got a running game, he's got a defense. I'm rooting for the guy. And as much as I was an advocate for trading Matthew Stafford, as much as I was an advocate for dealing him, getting him out of town, we're going to miss that. We're going to miss that toughness. We're going to miss that production because, if last week is any indication, which if you were looking at reports coming out of training camp, I mean, Jared Goff is the king of checkdowns, partially because he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to. But for Matthew Stafford to be in a place where he's going to thrive, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a lot like Justin Verlander when he went to Houston. You are rooting for the guy because he put in his time here, and you want to see them
got
do
two
well.
of your picks. We got 2 LA picks, so I don't need him to do well. But happy for Matt.
Right now, so we're not yet through week 2. Any surprising teams to you so far? I know it's a small sample size, but
surprising teams thus far. I'll tell you what. I'll give you a one on both ends. I'm a little bit surprised about the Raiders being 2-0. And beating the Steelers by 9 today in a league that's, a lot of these scores are lopsided here early on this season, but the Raiders being 2-0, I find that to be interesting. I think Derek Carr is one of those middle of the road, maybe bottom of the league quarterbacks, but 28 for 37 today, 382 through the air, and 2 touchdowns. Love that. And I am a big Henry Ruggs guy. I think Henry Ruggs is going to have a year. He had a touchdown today, and he had over 100 yards receiving as well. So the Raiders, I think, is one of the interesting storylines that I'm talking about. I think that,
and that was
2-0 is interesting.
And that game Monday night was unbelievable.
Mhm.
And if you're a Raider fan and you bought a ticket to go into that stadium that night, which is the first time in front of fans for their new stadium, you got to watch the Raiders win twice.
Yep. And how about this for another surprising team? Somebody who was able to escape the death grip that is the New York Football Jets, Sam Darnold, going down to the Panthers. They're 2-0. Sam Darnold today throwing for over 300 yards and a pair of touchdowns.
Yeah, they've looked good so far. Yeah.
He's got some weapons too. Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore. But the Panthers being 2-0 is one of the other interesting storylines. Now, somebody on the other side of that who I anticipate to be, who I thought was going to be pretty good. The early schedule for them is a bit of a struggle. But I would have thought that Indianapolis would have showed out a little better against Seattle in week 1. But they got a couple of winnable games coming up against Tennessee and Miami, so they could pull this thing back to 2-2 before they got to go down to Baltimore and take on the Ravens. And then you got the Texans, the 49ers. So, I thought Indianapolis at least would have been 1-1 at this point. They're not. Fine. I'm not going to kill them. But with that being said, I had some high hopes for Indianapolis this year. And then obviously Carson Wentz going there. He's just an okay quarterback. I don't think he's very good, but I had some high hopes for the Colts, and so far they've just been kind of mediocre.
And we got the Denver Broncos have started 2-0.
2-0. Yep.
Very easy schedule for them so far. They beat Jacksonville today. Who'd they beat in week 1? Oh, the Giants. And they get the Jets at home for their home opener next week. So the Broncos so far switching from Drew Lock to Teddy Bridgewater. So far, so good for them.
Yeah, and what's interesting there is you kind of touched on it. They start on the road for their first 2 games of the year. So they are kind of starting to season as a road team that can go on the road and win. They're 2-0 on the road this year. That's pretty impressive for a Denver team that last year kind of spun their tires. They got some guys kind of banged up by injury, but Cortland Sutton is a guy I really like. Teddy Bridgewater, even Teddy Bridgewater back in Minnesota was a guy that I really liked. Again, that horrific injury kind of derailed his career there. But is somebody that I think that you can rely on. And I think they're seeing those benefits pay out early in Denver. So certainly a nice schedule for them to ease into 2021, but they've got a lot of weapons too. And the Broncos, at least early on, are set up pretty nicely.
Absolutely. Minnesota's up 33-31. I believe they just took the lead in that game. And these games are close.
Yeah, no, the ones that are ongoing now are very close. And I know you might not even have any nails left. Cowboys at Chargers.
No,
that one's going into the 4th, tied up at 14.
Yeah, it started as a shootout and it's turned defensive after the first quarter. This is another. The Cowboys started 2 games as well on the road, and then they'll have 3 at home. So this is an important one to get because last week, they nearly beat Tom Brady. It was a good one. And it didn't leave a sour taste in my mouth like a lot of because I've seen that game a million times.
Totally.
But it did, I said, well, they played well. Tom Brady just keeps ticking. And
the interesting thing about the Cowboys is I don't know what the issue is. And I'm not sure if they're really just trying to ease Dak back into this thing. Dak really hasn't cut it loose, it felt like, this year yet. A little bit last week. But they just have so much offensive talent that it almost boggles the mind to think that, you know, you've put up 14 points through 3 quarters in LA. I mean, CeeDee Lamb to me is a guy that is going to blow the roof off of this thing, I think, this year. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to have a big year. Pair that with, on the other side, Amari Cooper, obviously Zeke in the backfield. They've got a ton of talent. So I question if it's a schematics thing or what it is with Dallas. But to me, they should be scoring points in mass.
Excuse me. And they have, and Zeke, I was talking to a buddy of mine about this. Zeke was the perfect running back for a Jason Garrett style team. Now, Mike McCarthy, who in Green Bay really never had a running game, certainly not like this, seems like because Tony Pollard's running the ball like crazy in the second half. So it's almost like Zeke is a power back, and it just doesn't fit in McCarthy's style. But that's a $90 million contract right there.
Yep.
So to try to, he's having a better day today. He did score earlier, but it's like going forward, it's almost like a Tony Pollard would be better served for this team. But McCarthy has to work with what he's got, and it's not, to have a Zeke Elliott's not a bad thing to have. So
it is not. But again, I don't know if it's a schematics thing or what it is. But to me, Dallas offensively should be one of the best teams in the country, in the league, and I don't know what it is. But again, maybe this is just some early season jitters. So we'll see if the Cowboys can figure that out. Meanwhile, we got to take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Lions-Packers Monday Night Football from Lambeau. Some interesting developments with this team going forward because a couple of guys haven't been able to clear concussion protocol, and they have been ruled out for tomorrow night's game in Green Bay. We'll tell you who that is coming up next right here on SportsWrap. Chris Renwick on WJR. Don't go away. More next.
Don't miss Chaz Palminteri in the original one-man show, A Bronx Tale, live at the Andiamo Showroom September 25th.
He was Sonny's bodyguard. Jimmy 10-2. They called him 10-2 because when he walked, his feet were always like the clock, like 10-2. And he would walk like this.
You saw him as Sonny in the hit movie. Then he brought his iconic character and screenplay to life on Broadway. Now you can see Chaz Palminteri in A Bronx Tale live at the Andiamo Showroom September 25th. Tickets are on sale at Ticketmaster.com. More info at AndiamoShowroom.com.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime, find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation. Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime victim.
Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services, and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Guys, Untuckit agrees it's finally time. Time to update our closets with new clothes we actually want to wear. Time to think about going back to the office or choosing a new way to work. Time to enjoy the best of fall, like long walks in the park and hot coffee on a brisk day. And that means it's time to look sharp and feel comfortable all day with Untuckit. Shirts designed to be worn untucked. Discover the perfect fitting shirt today at untuckit.com. Use promo code TIME for 20% off your first purchase at untuckit.com.
Is your prostate waking you up more often than your alarm clock? The fact is, the older you get, the more likely you'll have prostate problems, which can affect your everyday life. That's where Prostate Complete by Real Health comes in. Prostate Complete is the result of 20 years of experience as a leader in men's health. The powerful formula in Prostate Complete supports natural prostate function and reduced urinary urges for a better quality of life. Available at Walmart. Visit prostateoneperday.com for special offers. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hi, I'm Lauren. Why was it so difficult to move? Maybe my left side had just fallen asleep. I exercise, I ate healthy.
Hi, I'm Adam. At first, I was in denial. My wife, Lauren, was only 30. But I'm familiar with signs of stroke and know symptoms aren't always easy to recognize. I quickly realized that something was very wrong. Lauren's speech was slurred and her face was drooping. She was having a stroke, and I had to react immediately.
I'm so thankful Adam called 911 and I quickly received the medical attention that I needed. Now I don't take anything for granted, especially the time I get to spend with my family. Going through this experience has given me a new appreciation for life.
Looking back, I'm so grateful I didn't hesitate to call 911. A quick reaction can make all the difference. Learn signs of stroke and call 911 immediately if something seems off with someone you love. Visit strokeawareness.com.
Sponsored by Genentech and NAEMT.
Now that we're getting back to normal, let's get our kids the academic support they need too. Whether you can tutor, mentor, or just have a little time to serve in your community, GetReadySet.org can match you up with a student in your community that suits your talents and time.
Never let your light shine down.
Go to WJR.com and click on Project Shine to find out how you can help in your community.
Reading is fundamental. The nation's largest children's literacy organization invites you to rally our children to read. Visit rallytoread.org and help your child pledge to read 100 books by Read Across America Day in March 2022. Also, watch well-known authors read their favorite books. Find activities to keep young readers motivated, and teachers can enter the Rally to Read sweepstakes for a chance to win 100 books for their own school, subject to rules. Inspire your child to read. Visit rallytoread.org today.
Now back to more Sports Wrap. Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win. Here's Chris Renwick.
So obviously a very uncharacteristic week last week from Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. They got absolutely housed by New Orleans. I mean, it was wild. Now, if you look at how that game went, because it was a strange game. It's strange in the sense that it just felt like Green Bay never got the wheels going. Like they were just spinning in the mud from the opening kick. Saints go down, start the game, kick a field goal. Then they go back-to-back plays or back-to-back series of touchdowns. 17-0 right off the top. I think Green Bay had run something like 12 offensive plays in the first half. You just can't win. You're not going to win many games when you're not running plays. They were able to score a late first half field goal, but at that point, being down 14 is tough to come back from. Plus, if you remember, it was a interception in the red zone. Aaron Rodgers was targeting Devontae Adams, and it was just a mile behind him. I mean, it wasn't even close. But he got hit in the nether regions and wasn't able to throw a very good ball. So, with all of that being said, with the feeling that Green Bay never was able to get the machine going, never was able to fire it up, I do not anticipate like this happening again tomorrow at Lambeau. And I think there's a couple of things that you need to watch out for. Part of this is a couple of matchups, including the play on the Packers offensive line. They got a couple of guys banged up, especially on the interior. Josh Myers and Royce Newman are some of the guys that I think the Lions could exploit. Then Lucas Patrick, who's the left guard, is in concussion protocol. You may see former Michigan left tackle John Runyon there. So the interior of that line on the offensive line could be an area where the Lions could take advantage. Now, TJ Hawkinson is going to be a focal point in this whole thing. He just is. I mean, and quite frankly, with the performance he had last week, TJ Hawkinson could be up for a big year. I mean, a big year. Plus, You add in somebody like Jamal Williams, who's I think feels a little slated by not being re-upped in Green Bay. I think he's going to be juiced to go. And DeAndre Swift got off to a nice start last year. Now, for the Lions, Tyrell Williams is out. He's in concussion protocol, as is defensive tackle Kevin Strong. So they're going to be a little weaker on the interior of that D-line. Somebody who, again, with some of the greenness of the Packers' interior offensive line, you'd like to be at full strength there. Kevin Strong's out. Now, they're going to rotate a bunch of guys in, but your pass rushers, some questionable guys that they may not be able to go. Michael Brocker's dealing with the shoulder. Trey Flowers dealing with the shoulder. They were limited in practice this week, but they could be good to go. But if Michael Brockers, Trey Flowers, or one or the other don't get to go, that could be a problem. That could cause some issues in being able to pressure Aaron Rodgers. If you can't pressure Aaron Rodgers, he'll just dissect you. So I think these are a couple of interesting lines that you got to keep, in mind here as we gear up for tomorrow night. Now, do we believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to have the kind of lackluster, lackadaisical kind of outing that he had in week one? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think Devontae Adams could be in for a big night. Especially when somebody, Owarie has played very well, dating back to last year. But certainly, the injury to Jeff Okudah is problematic here. So I think Aaron Rodgers I think this is going to be the Aaron Rodgers redemption game. This is Aaron Rodgers not only bouncing back from last week, but after an offseason of demanding out of Green Bay, after an offseason of, publicly bashing the organization, I think this is where, in front of the home crowd, Aaron Rodgers gets this thing right. Aaron Rodgers is going to turn this thing around tomorrow night. And in terms of what you can expect from the Lions offense, I don't know. I mean, especially with a lot of these young receivers, it's hard to tell. I really like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I really do. But it's just a green player. Just hasn't played enough in the NFL. He's got a game under his belt. And you're going against a Packers defense that is chock full of experience, chock full of veterans. So, will we see more checkdowns from Jared Goff? Probably. I think you'll see a healthy dose of targets to TJ Hawkinson. I think that's where a lot of this goes. Because they just don't, quite frankly, the Lions probably have arguably one of the worst receiving cores in the NFL. Arguably. On paper, at least. They're certainly one of the shortest on experience. So it's tough to really put any sort of, expectation on that group, especially with Jared Goff, who's still trying to, acclimate himself into this team, into this offense. So we'll see. I just don't expect. I don't expect a lot of points. Now, with that being said, I think the run game could be their best bet tomorrow. I think the Williams-Swift combo is a nice combo. Another thing to watch along this Lions offensive line is Penei Sewell on the left side. As Taylor Decker continues to deal with injuries, moving Penei Sewell over to the left. Played a really nice game in week one against Nick Bosa, one of the better pass rushers in the league. So I'm going to be interested to see how he holds up again. Another game under his belt at left tackle in the NFL. So look, as far as a score prediction, I don't know, but I'll tell you this. I think it's going to be the Packers big. Because I think Aaron Rodgers, a lot of doubt this week. I don't think they're going to let that stand. So there you go. Take it to the bank. Have yourself a wonderful week. We will talk to you next weekend, Saturday at 6 o'clock. We'll see you then. Have a good week.
A message brought to you by the...
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you very much. Good to see everybody. We'll talk to you all soon. Have a good week.